What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video by yours truly. I think it's finally time, after 4 patches, that we discuss the Wuthering Waves tier list. Now, it's an interesting topic because there's a couple of characters in this game that I simply don't own on my account, and I haven't played with them. And so for that matter, if we come across those characters, I'm just gonna not be able to comment on it. There's another interesting thing about Wuthering Waves. Right now, it's just not pushing a lot of volume of characters. So there's not like a real definitive clarity to the rankings of characters and their performance and value. There's just not a lot. I just counted what I'm looking at right here, and it's 25 total characters. And if you divide that by 3, that's 8.3 characters per role, right? We have the DPS role, we have the healer role, and then we have the hybrid role, which is like a mixture of DPS and support aspects. So anyways, when you take that into consideration, it's like 8 characters per role. It's not really a lot to go off of. We need more characters to come out in this game so that we can have a more definitive tier list to be able to distinguish between the discrepancies of power spikes and value of each individual character. So just keep all that in mind as we're going ahead and taking a look at this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and react to the good old Pride Win tier list, the best catalyst around for tier lists, right? We're either going to talk shit or we're going to agree. Regardless, it's entertaining and insightful. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. This might be the biggest amount of disagreements I've ever seen on a tier list from Pride Win. Like there's just, it's riddled with things I don't agree with. Let's go ahead and start off with the supports. I don't think Verena should be on the same level as Shorekeeper. I understand the notion that right now, because there's not a lot of options and there's 3 freaking sides in the Tower of Adversity, that you're going to end up using both of these characters, right? But the whole entire purpose of a tier list is to distinguish the discrepancies in value. And Verena not having the 12% crit rate given to the entire party, as well as the 25% crit damage, I believe, given to the entire party, being inferior in healing capabilities. So her sustainability also is inferior to Shorekeeper. Her damage is literally almost just obsolete. There is no damage from Verena. Let's just keep it a stack. Whereas this girl can nuke for 50 to 100k depending on your investment in her. The only thing she's got going for is comfort and fluidity and rotations, which, yes, that does definitely count for something, but does it mean she should sit in the same tier as Shorekeeper? No, absolutely not. Verena is a T0.5 sustainer the minute Shorekeeper came out. Before Shorekeeper, absolutely, she was T0, but the minute Shorekeeper came out, T0.5, no doubt about it. And when another sustainer comes out, she still should be T0.5, I would say, unless that other sustainer is just that crazy. Moving on, this girl. Now, I haven't played with her, but her coordinated attack, which we come over here to Concerto skill, this here shits on everything Baiji's kit stands for. Like, and you have to understand, these characters, a lot of them, it's different in Wuthering Waves. They're quite niche. If you don't use them for their niche, then they're trash. That's a lot of characters. Mortefi is only good because of Jiyan and Jianxin. He's a heavy attack specialist. If you take Jiyan out of the game, though, sit Jianxin down. If you take Jiyan out of the game, Mortefi's fucking useless. You're not using him on any team, right? So a lot of these characters really are niche, and they should be graded on this tier list with their niche in mind. This right here that is fucking insane. She's doubling pretty much, maybe even tripling depending on your build, the damage of Jeje and the other Yinlin and Jeje, the 2 coordinated attack characters in the game. And I guess even more Tef, actually. She could even boost more Tef. Yeah, but you take that into consideration, and maybe, I haven't played with her, but Yao, Yinlin, and her in the 3rd slot, you cannot convince me Baiji. No, this is facts. Baiji is not outperforming that little girl on that composition because your Yinlin's gonna be hitting like a fucking truck. And then most importantly, going back to this girl, just from a logical perspective, Yuhu is going to deal damage, not Baiji, right? So she's not only dealing damage, she's buffing more. There's no realm where Baiji should be T1, man. I'm sorry. Baiji is like, she should be down here for sure. I can't even think of anything that she will do other than just sustain and do what any other support can do. You put the healing set on her, she's giving buffs to the party. Guess what? So are all the other healers. This girl is a free to play sustainer that is just spectacularly mid. And so I think she's T2. And Yuhu T1 is completely fair. Now, Jianxin, y'all know I'm the #1 Kung Fu Panda simp out here. But again, Tower of Adversity, and this is all because Wuthering Waves dynamic is very different. Tower of Adversity is a mode where you can only use one character so much, and then they run out of points, which means you have to use particular characters to set up your strongest teams to go up against the hardest content. And Jianxin, there has not been a single tower yet where I haven't blitzed all 3 floors with just Jianxin and Mortef, right? Just these 2, that's it. Blitz all 3 floors, and then I swap over to my actual strongest teams. That is a real value there. Like just that alone, before we go into any of her other merits, just being able to blitz the first 3 floors of Tower of Adversity should boost her immediately to T1, because that's what she's for. She's for those first 3 floors. She's not for like the final floors. But apart from that, the thick shield, the grouping ability, her ult bursting to the grouping capability, it absolutely boosts her to T1 in my personal opinion. She's also more universally applicable than Yuhu. Yuhu's more for the coordinated attack teams. You can just slap Jianxin on any team. She's going to function. She's not going to function nowhere near the realms of these 2 characters. She's not T0.5, but she's T1. She absolutely is. All right, now Yangyang. This is probably one of the worst placements I've ever seen. Like Yangyang, and I have to, it's funny, I'm going to have to elaborate on a lot of these characters because I think a tier list evaluation is much needed in Wuthering Waves, because people don't understand that Wuthering Waves, it's still developing its tier list identity, and some of these characters' prowess aren't really reaching the maximum efficacy because there's just not enough units coming out right now. We're still in the very early stages of this game, guys. I'll give you an example. Yangyang, for an example, the biggest value of her is her battery. Her battery is insane. Also, her seamless rotation fluidity is on par with Sanhua. You can fill this girl's concerto meter up so fucking fast because her forte circuit charged attack gives a dick ton of concerto energy back, and that with the skill and ult, boom, it's just like Sanhua, like immediately up. And so a lot of it goes into knowing how to channel and funnel energy over to the other character to pop off. But the problem is there's not a lot of bursty characters in the game right now. There's very few. Changli is the real burst character in this game where you quick swap her shit off and get her off. And then you have the Havoc Rover as well, which is right here. Havoc Rover is a very bursty character as well. So it's like Yangyang works very well with bursty characters. Changli, you pop her ult. She needs her ult to literally deal damage because you do the enhanced forte, like boom, and then you pop ult and it fills it back up and then you spam it again. It's a forte circuit cast, ult, forte circuit cast. You need Yangyang for DPS that function in that way. It's not going to work with Yao because he pops his ult and he stays on the field. It's not going to work with Jiyan. He pops his ult and he stays on the field. So you're like, there's no quick swap. Yangyang's a quick swap specialist. When more quick swap synergies come out, her value as a 4-star will actually become to show itself even more. But as things stand now, this is a niche oriented game. And with Changli, a mastery, an expert with the rotation of Changli and her can funnel ridiculous amount of energy into Changli to where her ult's always up. She gives 20 energy back per 5 seconds when she does her outro skill to the next person that comes onto the field, right? But what happens is you give that 20 energy over to them, you do their skills, and then you go back to Yangyang, fill her concerto up again, and funnel another 20 energy. Now you give them 40 energy back to them. Their ult's up by that time. When you take into consideration the attacks they're doing and the killing mobs and all that, this character, I'm dead. I shit you not. I don't even know what she's doing in this. She's like a hybrid. You might not get that because her damage isn't absurd. It's very small numbers and stuff. But this girl is 1 billion% in the T0.5 T1 category. She's like somewhere around. She's hovering between here. I don't know what the fuck she's doing over here with the healers. I really don't. It's actually kind of confusing. Yang literally is hybrid. She's like right here, T1, T0.5. And it depends on whether that's going to go up or go down based off of how many more quick swap oriented teams are going to come out. But this is abysmal. T2, absolutely fucking not. And I think I was one of the people who actually showed people how valuable Yangyang was with the Changli. It's just a very fucking difficult rotation to get down. Anyways, this girl, Taoxi, it's fair. It really is. She is the most clunky fucking character in the game. And she takes way too long to get her concerto meter up. I love her. I have her built up to level 80 because I'm fucking insanely cultured and based. But she is absolutely a very fucking clunky character to play with. You can make her work, of course, but in terms of like all the other options you have in the game, she does something that's very valuable for Changli, which is she boosts her fucking resonance skill. It's the most valuable thing in Changli's kit, and she's still inferior to Yangyang. The battery is just better. The battery, the rotation, doing the quick shit, it's just infinitely better. And so, yeah, it makes sense. It really does. Because she's even in her own niches, she still sucks. Now, moving up here, I'm going to be honest with you. There isn't a T0 hybrid character. Changli, and y'all know I'm a mad. Changli's literally my favorite character in the entire game. Changli is the most difficult character in the entirety of the game to really master. And that's because you have to learn how to skill with her and then quick swap her off the field to use up the skills of the other character that's on the field, like a Yangyang. And right now, we're still waiting for more characters to come in the game to really synergize with her. You can also use her on quick swap teams where you have two bursty characters just popping off, right? Some people even like to use her with like a Havoc Rover. But again, that's like forcing it because there's just not a lot of other options in the game. Some people use her with Jinhsi and goddamn Camilla. Like people are just like using this girl to just burst with everyone else. And so I feel like they put her in T0 just because of her universal ability to be bursty and like kind of just insert into any team as a burst character. But I'll be honest, as much as I love her, she is only T0 with expert, because the level of mastery of this girl's quick swapping that you need to have in order to really bring out that T0 performance is insane. And I noticed, I read Pride1's criteria. Expert means they're only that good if you know how to do the rotations. 99% of people don't know what the fuck they're doing with them, so you don't even have the expert right here. You should, because this bitch is not easy to play with on quick swap teams. She's really not. So you don't have expert right there. She's difficult. But even if you did have expert, I feel like she's still lagging behind just a little bit in performance to these characters, to these two right here. Just a little bit. It's not a lot. And she should be, because these two aren't quick swappers. They aren't. Like they go in that bitch and pop off. I mean, you can see people running them in quick swap teams, but let's face it, these two are really on that field to really like to remain there and just do their damn thug thizzle. Whereas Changli she's much more flexible than they are. And so if you're more flexible, you shouldn't be as strong as those other units. That's all I'm trying to say. More flexibility should have a little bit more weakness and strength. With that being said, I can respect the T0, but I actually think she's still T0.5. Sanhua, like same thing. He doesn't deserve to sit up here with them. Don't get me wrong, Sanhwa's the most, and I do mean she's the most broken 4-star character in Wuthering Waves. There's no doubt about this. But she's not on this, she's not on a T0 field. She's on a T0.5 field. I genuinely don't think we've gotten a T0 hybrid character yet. They're coming, and maybe Changli will bump up there in value as the game starts to drop more characters and we get more of an identity of the value of these units. Again, because there's only 25 units though, it's very difficult to like discern the values of what these characters are truly capable of. Basically, some of their kits are still loading in value. So the game's like, it's fresh. I can respect the Changli. That's what I'm gonna say. Mortefi, if you take Jiyan out of the game, Mortefi drops down to like fucking T2, dead ass. He was a pump fake, guys. Don't get me wrong. His damage is decent as a coordinated attacker, but he really is only that he's sticking to that heavy attack synergy. And right now we only have Jiyan. Now, if another heavy attack synergy comes out, then boom, maybe he stays in T0.5, but he is quite literally there because of Jiyan. It's like he doesn't have that much universal savviness or viability in any other teams. Yinlin this is an interesting one because I actually agree with Yinlin being T0.5. I do agree with that, right? But Yinlin and Yao together, which is the team she's really for right now, Yinlin and Yao together with a shorekeeper is one of the most terrifyingly strong compositions in the game. It is a T0 composition. Based off of my experience, that comp is fucking gross. And so I don't know how. Well, I guess I'm already kind of like giving you guys a bit of a foreshadowing. I don't know how the fuck this dude is in T0.5. We'll come back to that one. But I think Yinlin on that team is an argument for T0, actually, not being bumped down. Like, dude, I'm taking in like basically the strongest teams in the game. And her and Yao are literally tippity top. Now, Jeje, another character's kit that is loading. It's like we're still waiting on more units to bring out the value of these units. They haven't arrived yet, and so it's kind of fresh. But for now, the safe bet, I do agree, it's T0.5. Now the fact that there's like nobody here is crazy, because first of all, Havoc Rover, if you do not own Jinhsi, is such a solid. They're not Jinhsi. Don't get it twisted. They're not Jinhsi, but this is a really fucking solid unit. And not only do they heal, not only do they do great fucking damage, they can quick swap as well. It can do a bit of this unit is the definition of T1, solid, right? If we change the wording here, this is God tier, this is meta viable, and this is solid. And I feel like Spectro is one solid ass fucking unit, bro. People sleep on them, and the reason they slept on them is the way that the game's progression occurred. If the Havoc Rover came out, they had the fucking scythe and the black wing, and they looked so weeping and cool that people immediately just abandoned the Spectro Rover because it wasn't as flamboyant and flashy. But the value of this motherfucker has always been a banger. It has. I think people just don't know. A big part and a big problem, not only with this tier list, but I feel like with the community, is they just don't have the knowledge of a lot of the characters. Me too. I don't even know what the fuck Alto does. Alto might be a goddamn T1 for all I know. But that's the nature of this game. A lot of the people are really just using those very popular units up here and just not actually understanding or knowing the real value of the units, like the Spectro Rover, like Yangyang, and like fucking Alto. You know, people aren't really using them, and even Chixia. But Yanwu, yeah, I think it's fair. Yanwu's real value is like kind of just being a battery for Jinhsi right now, and even in his own electro domain, bro is just so fucking mid. It's crazy. So I think I do agree with that. I can't comment on Alto because I never played with him, but I genuinely think Spectro Rover T1.5 bare minimum. I think T1. I do. I think Spectro Rover's a sleeper. Okay, now we can get over here to the meat and soup. All right, Camellia and Jinhsi. Yes, I completely agree. Camellia is really fucking strong. I feel like there were some people who, I mean, didn't Pride wouldn't have her in T0.5 originally? I believe that was the thing. Yeah, they was tripping. I don't know what else to say about that. Anybody in this game who's nuking in the 200s to 300s and then immediately proceeding to deal even more damage is disgusting. Right, like that is the level of damage that made everyone go, holy fuck, Jinhsi is broken. She was the first person to do that, to nuke for that kind of damage and then proceed to continue to melt. So Camellia does the same exact fucking thing, and in fact her rotations are very smooth too. She's got AoE, she's got single target, she's got the nuke. The girl is just a menace right now, and she's comfortable. So in terms of damage performance, I literally, yeah, I said this well before the tier list even came out. When I was done testing with her, I was like, she's absolutely T0. She's absolutely on the same damage level as the strongest units in the game. This is my biggest fucking disagreement. Again, is it a lack of knowledge? Is it a lack of people just not knowing what the fuck, how to rotate? This dude is literally as strong as them. Camellia is not stronger than Yao. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. You can go into that comment section, yap away. Bro does the same shit. He will ult your ass for 250 fucking K and then proceed to blend you into an oblivion. And here's the crazy thing about him that neither one of these two can do. This motherfucker, if a monster jumps 80 feet away, he will flash step to them. You can't even escape him. If his blender's up, he flash steps straight to them. And then he slows time down. That's the other thing that these two don't do. He slows time down when he's blending you, which sets you up for easy dodges while he's just melting. And then Yinlin's doing damage on top of his damage. And so it's not even just him blending your ass up after hitting you for 250K, blending you for 100K. Yinlin's shocking your ass on top of that. Like, bro, Yao is a menace. Bro, in my personal opinion, is stronger than Dr. Ratio was when Dr. Ratio came out. This guy does not deserve to be in T0.5. I'm not arguing with anybody about that. This motherfucker is T0. I don't care what you say. Actually, your ass in the back. That nigga's T0. Jiyan got power creep faster than anybody. You know what's funny? I said he was unpower. I said this man couldn't be power creep because I fell for the good old okie doke, the rookie mistake everybody makes, thinking the debut banner character is actually going to somehow maintain value. Now the Jiyan Copers are going to be the biggest, like, salty people of this whole react. They're going to be so,
He does just as much damage as the other characters. Camellia and Jinhsi, he does just...
they be reaching. They be in mad denial, bro. Listen, man, Jiyan is our mid general, just like Jingyang was. But you know what? I agree with the T0.5 placement. He's still solid. Yao, these three deserve to be in T0. Yao, Camellia, and Jinhsi, and Jiyan is a notch under them, 100%. And I'll be honest with you, Encore, I ain't never played with, but the entirety of the community has told me that Encore sometimes out damages Jiyan. That Encore is, at the bare minimum, the same strength as a Jiyan. So I don't know how she's T1. That doesn't make sense. Based off community feedback. That's not mine. I can't give input on a character I never played with. So based on community feedback, I'm pretty sure they think Encore is on the same level as him. Now, T1, first of all, what is Danjin doing in T1.5? Danjin? Are you kidding me? This bitch hits like a truck. She's, again, another bonker 4-star unit. And she's even quick swap friendly. You can put Danjin on a team with fucking Changli. You can even put her on a team with Camellia. There's no way you put more Teffy in T0.5 and put Danjin in T1.5. There's just, that math ain't mathing, dog. It's really not. It's not mathing to me. It's not making much sense. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Danjin should be T0.5. You know what? That's what it is. See, these Wuthering Waves is like, it's got this weird thing. Here's the problem. She can be a standalone DPS, right? But she really is a mixture of both. She's a hybrid, because sometimes people use her to stand on the field all day long with no HP remaining, but a lot of people also use her in this role. It's like dead ass. You could have two different rankings here. If we grade her as a hybrid, she's T1. She's hovering between here and here. If we grade her as a hybrid, if we grade her as a standalone DPS, T1 bare minimum. The 4, I know it is crazy, but this bitch, she be popping off just as much as the general, bro. You're not gonna believe me, but hey, man, Danjin, you know what, man? We gotta build up a Danjin. We gotta get to the bottom of this. I know for a fact she don't belong in T1.5. I know for a fact she does not belong in T1.5. T1 bare minimum, debatably even T fucking 0.5. We're gonna find that one out. Let's find that one out. Let's build up our Danjin and let's get to the bottom of it, boys. Havoc Rover, I think a lot of people in my community already knew. I've said this for a long time. The Havoc Rover was up here at one point, and then more units, real, actual, limited 5-stars started dropping, and people quickly realized, oh, okay, yeah, that's just main protagonist damage. Yeah, sounds about right. I also don't agree in T1.5. I think Havoc Rover's T1 probably. I think Havoc Rover's probably hovering between T1, T1.5, I would say. But this is the thing. The Havoc Rover is not a DPS. Again, this is a burst character. It's really interesting because Wuthering Waves' criteria is very hard to discern, because characters like them are DPS characters, but they're always used as a secondary DPS, not the main DPS. And so if they're a secondary DPS and not the main, by definition, I feel like that character should probably come over here in the hybrid territory too. I think Prywin, and honestly, I don't blame y'all, is having a hard time trying to discern whether these characters are going hybrid or going DPS. I think the way y'all should decide it is that character being is that character sharing damage with another character, and are they inferior in damage? Because if they are, that's like a hybrid. That means they're just on there to do a quick little burst and get off the field. They don't belong in the real DPS category. These characters do. All of these characters belong DPS category, right? Danjin does too, because she genuinely can just sit out there and just pop off. But this dude here, just like, or the main protag, ults, does a little damage and just gets the fuck off. That's my personal opinion. I think T1.5 T1 is actually fair. I do. Completely fair. Cao Charo is, they butchered that man, and it was so unnecessary. If they let him keep his cancel swap shit with Yinlin, he still wouldn't have even been broken. Bro would have been like he would have been solid, like in here somewhere. But for whatever reason, they butchered the man with the fucking swap cancel shit. And this dude is just he is just dog shit. I use him the same way I use Jianxin, which is a bad thing because Jianxin's not a DPS. I only use him on the first 3 floors of the Tower of Adversity, and then I send his ass right back in the back. And that's sad because this guy is an actual DPS. He's not a like share the field DPS. No, he is a standalone, get out there and pop off DPS. And bro, it's just ass cheeks, man. It's crazy. Never played with Yangyang. I wanted to get him to play with him because he looks like a real fun character. I don't know. Everybody was saying this is the worst character in the game. I'm not going to say I agree with it until I actually play with the guy. People say that shit, but when I would look at this dude doing damage, I would see like very decent numbers. But again, no knowledge on it, so can't even comment on it. Chixia, one of my boys used to play her, and every time he showed me his Chixia, this bitch was popping off just as much as these characters were. And I'm pretty sure she's a bursty DPS next to Changli. I think there's a duo synergy here. So I'm pretty sure they're probably wrong about Chixia too, in my opinion. But again, never played her, probably never will. I just don't like her play style. Those are my thoughts about the Wuthering Waves tier list. I think saying all this stuff out loud brings me to the understanding that there's a lot more defining that needs to occur in Wuthering Waves gameplay. There's just a lot of I mean, Pride went in day. I'm telling you, I don't know what the hell Pride was cooking up with this tier list. I think there has to be more light shed upon all of these characters, but it's not just their fault. It's also just the fact that, like I said, Wuthering Waves is dynamic of like releasing characters and stuff. It's still in the very early phases of volume of characters. So it's very hard to have a real identity on the value of them. There just needs to be more people released. I'm talking like double the roster. There needs to be like 50 motherfuckers in the game, and then we'll be able to like tell who's the cream of the crop and who just fell off and aged like fucking milk. That's gonna wrap up this video. Peace, love, and happiness. Thanks for watching. Comment down below, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.